Everyone, Chris with Clutter Reduction Junk Removal in Southeast Florida. We are building wood sides on our new 2023 2500 Dodge Ram diesel truck. It is a 6-foot bed instead of a 5.5-foot bed, which is what I had last time. It's also a little bit wider and a little bit taller on the inside. So overall, I'm going to be able to hold a little bit more weight if I build the wood sides on it like I did with my Nissan Titan. Now with the Nissan Titan, that was a lighter duty truck, so I tried to make sure that the sides were lighter weight and removable because sometimes we wanted to use our cover. This time, there's more purpose to having the sides up than there is the cover, so I am going to make it just permanent. I can obviously remove it if I need to, but the intention is to not have to remove it if we don't need to. So I'm going to be doing very similar features that I did before, except I'm going to be using different wood, and we're gonna be painting it white to match the color of the truck. I already got my signage from UZ Marketing. I'll show you that in a second. This is the one that we had for the Nissan Titan. I didn't throw it away because I literally just made it like 2.5 months ago. I didn't get to use it for too long before we got a new truck. But half of the wood I already had at home. So we had the 2x4s, which you just kind of cut down. This time I'm actually gonna be cutting it like, I'm gonna keep the middle post and just cut the edges. I don't know why I did it like this, but everyone else I see, they cut in the middle. So I'm gonna do that too. I don't know if there's much difference to it, but that's what I'm gonna do. I used lag bolts to hold everything in place. I think they're all like 1.5 to 2 inch lag bolts. And then the sign, of course, from UZ Marketing. It's a 4x4 trailer sign that I just duplicated junk removal phone number twice, and I just cut it in half with an X-Acto blade. Instead of trying to buy 2 different signs, it just came out to be more cost effective. I think one sign's like $38 versus trying to do 2 separate signs and cutting it. And then I had a brace in the middle just to kind of keep it from wanting to, you know, bend with straps and stuff. So that was pretty straightforward. And then of course I painted it black so it matched the truck. But our next one is a little different. So these ones are 2x12s, mainly because they didn't have any good 2x6s in stock, and the 2x8s were on the very top shelf, and I think we all know Home Depot takes forever to come help you when they have to get their forklift involved. So I got 2x12s. I've used 2x12s for a similar house project on the outside. When it's smaller sizes, I find it to be pretty durable. When they get long, I feel like that's when they start to kind of falter. So I think it'll be okay. But they're cut to 76 inches in length, which is basically like right here to the edge of the truck, like right here, right by the door. So that's 76 inches. And then I may at some point, I don't know yet, but we may at some point try to do some kind of like swinging bar door in the back. And then I can have like our slogan, "Too much clutter," and then like the website next to it or something for people behind us, and also to help hold in stuff from wanting to fly out. So I haven't fully decided if we want to do that yet, but I think that would be pretty cool. So it's just an idea. It comes down to the fact that if I don't cover my back window, now I have another layer that I can't fully see out of. So that's the only downfall with it. But speaking of window, my other truck, as you just saw, those are the only 2 sides. I didn't have anything covering the window. What I actually plan on doing this time is I'm not gonna do a full wall there because I do wanna see a little bit out my truck, even though the mirrors are the more important part. But what I'm gonna do instead is just use 2x4s and basically do like a wide H. So I'm gonna have a top rack that goes right underneath the light so you can still see the brake light, and then a bottom one across the white strip, and then I'll do 2 bars kind of right outside of the light itself. And I'm just gonna use that so like a bigger item doesn't get pushed back and like rock into the window. I'm not gonna be securing it super crazy. I will paint it white still, but I got little corner brackets to hold it in place with screws, so it's not gonna get any kind of lag bolts or carriage bolts. And then for the hardware, we got 4-inch hex carriage bolts. I've had good experience with these. This is what I built my entire trailer with. I wanted to get 3/8, but they didn't have the boxes in stock, and if you buy the screws by themselves, they're very expensive. So we had to get quarters, and then we just got the washers and the nuts for it. These are the corner brackets I'm talking about for the 2x4s. And then something else we're gonna be doing a little differently is, instead of doing D-rings because they're really expensive, we're actually gonna use eye hooks. Not these ones specifically, but I'll try to get at least 1 inch, maybe 1.5 inch thick. But I didn't realize that these have so much availability for tension. Like if you're pulling them straight, they can hold up to like 1,000 pounds of tension, and on an angle it gets less and less as it goes, but it's still like well over 500 pounds, which is what some of the ratchet straps are rated for, and I'm not going to be strapping anything in of that caliber. So that's actually great because I have a bunch of these in the garage. I just have to find them. These are the only ones I was able to find at the moment. And then this is the sign from UZ Marketing. So trailer sign. When you go on the website, I have a link in the description if you guys want to check it out. They do promotional material. They're cheap, they're free delivery, and they're fast with delivery. So on the sidebar, you go to trailer signage, and then you just pick out your size. This is the 4x4. Like I said, I just duplicate what I want, and then I just cut it in half. And I found that to be very cost efficient. These are all painted. Now we're gonna cut the 2x4s. I just gotta measure how deep the pocket is. So I figure about 5 inches, 5.5 inches. So 29 inches high because we want to do 2 feet for the boards. All right, we got the stakes cut, everything put in place. Now we're just gonna line these up, start marking where we're gonna be drilling our holes for the carriage bolts. And then I'm just gonna use a clamp to go ahead and keep it in place. And we'll start cutting this up. We got one side up. I only have nut on the first one just to hold it in place. These I have to drill in because I want to try to get the splinters out. But the inside is gonna have the signage. On this side I'll do a brace, just so there's a brace on each side of it. So the middle will get a brace. But I would say we can get this done before it gets dark out. All right, so we are all done with the sides. I need more 2x4s. I didn't think about that. I gave one to my neighbor the other day. Although I didn't need it back then, to be fair. Basically, I have one 2x8 and I have like a 20-inch board. So the sides are all built. I'll show you that in a second. But I wanted to do one across the top, one across the bottom, connect it with the little brackets. And then I'm gonna do like an H style, so like 2 verticals on each side of the brake light. So it'll just kind of help keep anything big from rocking into the window. And also, it will also help kind of keep the boards from going, you know, side to side. They're not perfect. I had to cut 3 of the pockets out, and I measured it, and then I cut it, and then when I put it in, it was a little loose. That's what she said. So I don't know what happened. I screwed up somehow, but it's a little rocky. So having the thing built in will probably just help out a little bit. Yeah, I think they came out about what I expected. These middle bolts are going to be covered once I get the sign up. So it's literally just straight across, sign in the middle. And then I did the inside brace. So you have a brace on each side. And for the carriage bolts, I just did 3 into each board. And for the middle brace, I just did 2 in each board. And they're just cut in by the nuts and washers. So I try to keep it somewhat symmetrical. I usually don't care about the straight lines, but I don't know. Something inspired me to use a ruler. So what we'll do is, because we have to paint the 2x4s anyways, I am going to get the hand paintbrush, and I'll just slide a piece of paper in here and just do touch-ups. Like I didn't paint this one side of the 2x4. I really wanted to get this done today, and I kind of screwed up earlier with timing. So I gotta paint like this side, and I want to paint the tops just to help protect it from the rain over time. And then I might go ahead and paint over this one more time. You can kind of see, I don't know if it like faded with the sun or if it blended or what, but it's just a little bit discolored here. So I want to go ahead and touch that up. So I'll just put something to cover the truck and get that all freshened up. Same thing over here. I forgot this side. All right, here is the sign. Hopefully I have it right side up, and shabam. So like I said, I just get a big board cut and then I just slice it in the middle. I use the grommets, but I also just make my own holes too, and I use the little washers with the screws. So yeah, this is what it looks like. So each board on the outside is gonna have 1/2 of this. All right, we are all done. Went ahead and painted a second coat. We got the sign up, like I said, big bold letters, what we do, phone number. I painted my washers last night, so all you really see is just the head of the screw, And I use the washers just so the wind doesn't tear it right through because it's such a little point. So I try to do it enough so that the wind doesn't catch behind it. And I've learned not to fasten them in too tightly because then it causes wrinkles. So just enough that the wind doesn't get by, but it doesn't cause wrinkles. So this is everything. I'll show you the other side. It's the same thing. Except for my cargo net. Now for the inside, you see our headache rack. Like I said, I didn't want to block the brake light and I wanted to be able to see through my window. And actually this worked out really well because these had a slight wiggle to them, but once I installed this in, it held it together really nicely. So I went ahead and used corner brackets on all four corners. And as you see, I forgot to paint the one side. I picked the 1 2x4 that I hadn't painted yet. So I'll fix it eventually because it will bother me at some point. But yeah, they're basically just held in with these corner brackets. If I start to see they're faulting at all, I will replace them with something stronger. But for now, I think it's pretty good. So I didn't intend on it going all the way up. I didn't want to block the brake light. And also I have the eye hook up there for my cargo net, which is what's right here. So I'm gonna see how these work out versus the D-rings, which is what I usually use, but these are a lot cheaper and I already had a ton of them with me. So I have 1, 2, 3 in the middle on each side, 1 on the top, and then 3 on the front. And that's gonna be used to hold the ratchet strap I'll hook in here or my bungees. And then the top ones are mainly for the cargo net, which will drape over to hold everything in place. But like anything else, if we start to see like, hey, this isn't working out, then we fix it. So I think overall it came out really well though. I'm happy with myself. I think collectively it probably took me 3 hours if you don't include the time in between painting the wood and letting it dry. And then all together cost wise, I think it was like $195 was for the hardware, the wood, the paint, and I had to buy a new roller and 4-rollers because I thought I had them, which I actually just found, but they were the wrong nap, so I needed to get those regardless. And then the trailer signage was like $38, but I got that like a month and a half ago, so technically it's part of the sides, but it's kind of not either. So if you want to include it, let's just say $230 altogether. But it'll help us get smaller jobs done without having to bring the trailer, which is going to save us on gas in the long term. And it'll help when we have to go do a smaller job where we don't have the availability to bring the trailer because accessibility is really bad. It'll pay itself off, and it's still truck branding at the end of the day, which is the important part. So that's going to be it. By the way, sorry about the blood. I did not know I had that until I edited the video because I had the camera flipped around. I thought it was just sweat the whole time. I don't remember hitting it. It wasn't until gnats kept hanging around me and I went to go wipe the sweat off my forehead and I was like, oh, I'm bleeding. So it's just a little itty bitty cut, not a big deal. But yeah, that was everything. So if you have any feedback, let me know down below. I'm obviously not going to change anything major, but if you have anything small you think I should do, ears are open. The only thing I didn't do that I don't fully understand how, so if you can comment that down below, I'd appreciate it, is how to find a way to attach like a screw through here into the stud inside. Because when I look behind here, there's one single little circle of a hole, and I don't even know if it lines up with the stake or not. So I don't want to drill a hole into it if it's not going to catch. And it's just I guess a safety measure just to keep it in place. So shut up, God, freaking birds all day. That's pretty much the only thing though. Otherwise I think I got everything else. I might do my friend also mentioned to maybe do like a metal grid on the back so I could still see, but it'll, you know, continue to support holding it, keeping stuff from hitting the window. And I actually do have it, I just don't have a grinder to cut it. So maybe we'll do that, I don't know. One step at a time.